Let's go.
Bingetown, how we feeling today? It's your boy Dave here with Beth Harmon, Johnny Dogs, and Jim. We are happy to bring back some more Peaky Blinders content with episode 2, Black Shirt.
Let's go.
Just another phenomenal episode from Peaky Blinders. I think it's still setting up a lot of the plot points that are going to get drilled home in the second half of the season. But from what we got, Johnny Dogs made his return, so Kyle was absolutely hype about that.
Dude, it was a great Johnny Dogs episode.
Yeah, we got a lot of characters a lot of returning characters that we hadn't seen for a couple episodes, and we were foreshadowing to see, but it was like people like Alfie, Oswald Mosely. It was just great seeing those guys back into the mix.
Guess who we didn't see?
Finn
again. I don't know what the deal is with that.
Black Cat.
Some sketchy things going on in the background. Who fuck knows? But
it's so weird.
My biggest wish answered, because at the end of last podcast, I said I really wanted to lay the land of what the hell was going on politically, both for Mosely, Tommy, the communists, like all of it. I wanted all that, and that's pretty much exactly what the back half of this episode was. So we pretty much found out like the state of all of our main characters and political parties, and that was really good to see, because now we know, the power dynamics between people like Churchill, our president, Jack Nelson. Like, we have all of these power dynamics better in scope of like where things stand now.
Yeah, I was wrong about a lot of things, but that's the beauty of not giving a fuck. Oswald Mosley was in the episode, and everything else I said was pretty much wrong. I'm shocked that, I guess, Jack and the IRA contact Laura, like, will come in contact. That's part of Tommy's plan. But I was a little shocked that they had like no contact ever, and like they weren't involved in anything at all.
Yeah,
I was shocked by how young Uncle Jack was, to be honest. Like, when I saw him on screen, I was expecting him to be like 40 at least, probably in that range. So
whoa,
I don't know.
60.
Okay.
Well, that guy didn't look 40 to you. He looked 40.
Yeah.
I was thinking white
Uncle
hair.
Jack? No way.
Uncle Jack didn't look 40 to you?
No, he looked young. He looked like
literally
in his
like
20s.
his late 20s. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He literally looked like
Alright.
a young kid, and I was like, how is this guy older than Anya Taylor-Joy, or like portrayed to be older than this girl?
He's got to carry a lot of weight, because we know how this show's villains, actors usually are. Like, they need to be scene stealers. I think it was a good intro, and we had a lot of build up and hype in episode 1 before we even saw Uncle Jack. So it was good to, put a face to him. He's got the Boston accent. I'm just thinking about his niece, like, being connected with him, and he's talking about all of, like, basically how powerful he is, and we get a little backstory into his killings and shit. So it was a good insight into him. I said it in the last podcast, that was one of the only things I had spoiled for me. I already knew like who his actor was, so I kind of had that image in my head. But
Who
yeah,
is
I
he?
guess
Is he anybody that we know? I don't recognize
I don't
him.
think so.
Oh, okay. When you said you were spoiled by the actor, I was expecting like him to show up and us be like, "Oh shit, we know him."
No, I just meant I saw a picture of him.
Oh, okay, yeah.
What if it was like fucking Uhtred?
Oh my
right.
God, could you imagine?
I think I look so familiar.
When worlds collide.
I will say the one negative so far this season, 2 episodes in, they got to stop using like the telephone ringing like 10 times as like a building suspense or whatever. I hate it. It's like nails on a chalkboard to me every time.
Do you guys want to just start going right through the episode now?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, this first part that we can talk about, a bunch of things happen really quick. I want to lump everything up to before Alfie gets introduced. So we basically just have Tommy arriving back in England and going back to the mansion, seeing Ruby. He has the seizure. And then we're going to lump all of these conversations into the next day, where he goes to the Labor Party meeting, and then Laura ends up showing up. And then we could just talk about all those things. I know it's a lot to cover, but I wanted to lump it all together before we get a grand reveal of Alfie Solomon.
The only thing I really had to say about anything that's not like them, like Tommy at the rally and then speaking to Laura, is that, does Tommy just not like his son?
Yeah,
or
it is
just
funny
that like
how
Ruby is sick, so he feels more affectionate because she's sick. Like I didn't get that at all.
I don't like
I think
it's the
Tommy's
latter.
I think Tommy's more along the lines of like, back then it's like you're the guy and the girl needs more attention and she's sick, like, man up, you're the boy, you're gonna be the man of the family kind of thing. But yeah, what did he say? The boy says something right away.
Can I come?
Yeah, and I was like, you little bastard.
But she's healed.
He's like,
Oh no, he
miraculously.
said, "Did you bring us presents?" Isn't that what he
Oh
said?
yeah. True.
Come on,
I
man,
can't
you
believe
greedy.
that she healed like that. I don't know what the trip to from at this time from Canada, the French territory to England actually is.
Days, weeks.
Has to be long.
Yeah,
So I guess that was enough time for her to heal up temporarily, but
it's
I was
crazy. It's crazy that they decided to heal her, but then get her sick again.
I didn't. There's definitely something to it. I think it's just to emphasize like the mysticism of like gypsy lifestyle and the curses and everything. Like, because when she said she's healed, I was like, bullshit. Like, I'm literally sitting here waiting for the next bad thing to happen. I didn't expect it to be the same sickness again, but it definitely has something to do with just emphasizing the fact that it's just like gypsy lifestyle and the curses. Absolutely. I will say though, I did really enjoy Laura finally meeting Tommy Shelby, because on the phone it was like she felt like really intimidating, like she could put him in his place, and then when she's face to face with him, she kind of cowers away a little bit at his presence, and even at the end when they're walking away, she's like uncomfortable that she's going somewhere alone with them. So interesting that was a thing to me, at least. But
I didn't expect it.
I'm so confused by the IRA's general role. Besides, I mean, Tommy mentions that it's going to be a way for, I guess, Jack and potentially FDR to like put a pin in Ireland, but I just don't get where like they're coming from. Because I agree, Dave. It literally felt like Tommy was working for them until this scene.
Yeah. I mean, we get the entire ending and then we get the ending of last season. Starting with this season, we find out that they're the ones who thwarted his plan, and then she's basically like, you're in over your head. You can't do all this. Your ambitions are too high. We're taking over. You're gonna be our bitch, basically. And then he has been for 4 years, pretty much. But it is very surprising, like you said, that she's not acting like the boss when she talks to him.
Yeah. I mean, we did get some more clarity into how Tommy is perceived politically. So I guess that plays into it, because he is just the head socialist, right? That's what he is. And he is seen as someone that used to be hand in hand with Mosely and the fascists, but he's still holding his own party, I guess, in the House of Commons. So he is a separate entity, but like behind the scenes and through the cooperation of the IRA, like they're all working together, but at the same time, Tommy's working to undermine everybody. And I'm sure the finale is going to be about fucking them all over. So it's interesting to see how much they're leaning into the political part of this, because I'm about it. It felt like it got introduced last season, and it felt fresh to me compared to the first 4 seasons of just gangsters getting bigger and bigger. So I like this part, but I just don't really know like how that makes sense, and how that like how can socialists and like fascists work together, and then 4 years ago, and now they're it's just like so weird to me.
I was literally just gonna say that it's almost like you're just doing a circle. Like he was a socialist, then he joins with Oswald to help undermine him, and he wants to undermine him, and he wants to finish it all up, and kill him pretty much. And will definitely kill him, and then take over the party and do what he needs to do with it. So at that point, he's on stage with Oswald when everything's going down, and they say themselves, or he says himself, that Oswald wasn't privy to this. Like, he wasn't made privy to the fact that Tommy was part of like trying to kill him. So he was still in with Oswald. The IRA kept him in with Oswald, but then I guess within the 4 years, he kind of phased back into socialism, and now he's going to phase back into fascism again. It's just a little like wishy-washy to the people.
But they even ask. I mean, later on, the reporter asks him about it.
Yeah,
and he gives him that lie. Tommy just like is politics because it's a way to make money. Tommy isn't in politics, I feel like, because it's like he's actually genuinely. I mean, I guess maybe part of it might be that he is a socialist and that he wants to create change. I mean, he is building hospitals and he wants to do the housing stuff, but I really feel like it's just that it's the best way for him to make money and get power. He even talks about, like, when he talks about the circle, which is essentially horseshoe theory, that the extreme left and the extreme right is the same thing. I mean, he's a poet, he's a scholar. That wasn't like an actual like political theory until like 2002. So
Yeah,
He's
I
ahead of
like
the
it.
game.
yeah, Tommy's ahead of the game. He's very observant.
Hell
He's
yeah,
very
very
observant.
ahead of the game.
I mean, that conversation was interesting to pick apart, besides the fact that Laura McKee was a little surprising and how unintimidating she was. Like, I do like how upfront Tommy's hatred towards her was, but he reemphasizes with Arthur right before that scene that business for the Shelby company and the Peaky Blinders is more important than vendettas and revenge right now. So that's
Right.
cool to get that reemphasis, because Tommy, ever since he's cleaned up his drinking, it does seem that he's way more level-headed. And we're gonna see if that breaks, because I thought he was gonna drink by this episode, but he didn't.
Yeah,
I also think that conversation that Tommy has later with Ada is very important for political reasons, in the sense that we get reminded that Polly was also very socialist, and I think for him that it's a good reminder for the audience to be clear on what side that he still stands for, because of all these politics that he's engaging into, and being forced into working with people that he views as like enemies and things like that. And with Polly's death, I think that thought of like what she stood for and everything still looms over him. So that will definitely, I think, have like an impact on what he's doing politically later on.
Yeah, he's certainly not a fascist. Whatever
Right.
even though he is like in his own way a capitalist, and he's literally a fucking international drug dealer. But
Yeah.
he's definitely not a fascist. Whatever.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what happens, that wouldn't even really make sense if he actually starts to believe in like Mosely's ideology and shit.
Yeah. So let's talk about his seizure. You know, Lizzie's in bed. She hears the glass break. She freaks out, grabs the gun, runs into the bathroom, and Tommy's seizing on the floor, butt ass naked. You know, I mean, I guess he was rolling around on the glass that he broke, so he got all cut up. Are we going to assume that he's sick too now? Is this going to be a plot point, or is it just one of those things that we're going to get underlying where he has the seizures here and there, and we don't know if it's going to be a big deal or if it ever will culminate into anything?
Tommy says to her that it's happened before, but he implies that it was only the second time, I think.
Right.
So if it's only the second time,
and now a third time, though.
And now a third time. Okay, so it's gonna, I don't know. Like, this could be what takes him out, and it won't be some of his enemies like Uncle Jack in the movie or something like that. Like, it won't be that, and it could be this. It could be a mixture of PTSD and just like the collapse of all this pressure of being the mob boss for all these years. It wouldn't surprise me, because I almost think I would prefer something like that than him getting caught Walter White style.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel like it's definitely just stress. I mean, he's just doing this incredibly dangerous international drug deal with incredibly powerful and violent people.
No
and
sleep.
Not sleeping. Yeah.
100%.
Like, I feel like all of that combined is just a recipe for disaster.
He needs a therapist. Like, take a book out of Tony Soprano's page. I think he just. I can't, for me too, I can't tell if it is just the PTSD of the war, which they are definitely emphasizing, but it's not a coincidence in my mind that these seizures started happening at the same time that his daughter got sick, to me. Like, I know he's always had them, but he hadn't taught, he mentioned it to Lizzie, saying like, oh, I haven't had one.
No, you just said I only had one once on the boat.
Exactly. Yeah. In those 4 years. And so I take it as it has something to do with the daughter. Personally,
it's tough, because at what line are we going to accept the gypsy thing? Whether it's kind of like The Last Kingdom. We're not talking any kind of supernatural shit here for Peaky Blinders. So we have Ruby in Sickness Part 2, where she's getting sick with the fever, and she's saying the gray man's coming after me and Tommy, and at the same time Tommy's seizing and the gray man's coming after him, the guy with the mud all over his face. How much are we going to accept a coincidence here, or allow a coincidence versus curses / gypsy foretelling / whatever? That's the thing we have to think about.
I'm down for a season 6 turn into fantasy. What do you think?
Yeah, right.
We just go
That would
full
be
on
great.
magic.
I mean,
Or,
I would like it because Johnny Dog. I mean, we've seen it. Johnny Dog is just becoming a bigger character, so
He
that
would
would I
become
feel
a
like,
king or something.
yeah, dude, that would be a huge development for us Johnny Dogs. All
Let me just
dozens of us Johnny Dog stands out there.
let me just say that our Game of Thrones House of the Dragon account posted a picture of Tommy Shelby on the Iron Throne.
That would be
like that.
crazy.
That would be ridiculous.
he would
Johnny
definitely
Dog's
be
on
good
the
at the
Iron Throne.
game.
Nah,
Oh
dude,
my
Johnny Dog's
God.
hand of the king.
Yeah, oh my God. Johnny Dogs would 100% be hand of the king.
Yeah, he's
Not
hand
even
of
a
the king.
question.
But I do like the ambiguity of them, like kind of like with Last Kingdom, like not knowing if, because everything they've said about like the gypsy curses, like they came true. I mean, like sure, the sapphire, like it could have been a coincidence that, you know, who was it? Grace got shot and killed in that moment, but it also could be the curse. So there's enough ambiguity from seasons 1 to 5 to make me feel like if they do go that route, I'm not upset with it, you know?
I don't think it'll ever be like in your face, but
Yeah, it would never
Yeah,
be-
no,
yeah,
it can't be in your face. I doubt they'll go that route, but it is fine. Yeah, like I'm okay with it too, with the ambiguity of it, as long as it's subtle.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right, so let's do one more scene before we get to Alfie, and this is like the last part of this early part of the episode, and this is all the Tommy and Ada stuff because they're
yeah.
squadding up to go get Arthur, or they're talking about Arthur, who's just full on opium addicted. This is going to clearly be his whole plot point for this is going to be his identity for this season, I'm thinking.
Mhm.
But Ada also goes on. This is right after the conversation with Laura. So Ada got to listen to the whole thing and she
Mhm.
starts ripping into him about that. Which she's like, fuck.
Yeah,
opium,"
I was dude.
because-
Now all I do is think about you when she
Dude,
says it.
it's
Man.
so good.
She said it like 5 times.
She goes, fuck opium and presidents. Come
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
And I just
Great
were like,
line.
Ada has nearly always been right from season 1. Basically, if you listen to her, she's morally and ethically like kind of the right side of things. So
Yeah.
just listen to her because she says that she's out. That was the main point takeaway.
Right.
She's like, I can't do this. I have to think about my kids.
She was like,
Mhm.
I'm like, I can't be Polly. And I'm like, well, you're honestly doing a great job of being Polly.
Yeah,
So
right.
Yeah.
you can definitely do it, Ada. Like I want her to get out of it too. Like I think she of all of the Shelby boys I guess the Shelby family is the most deserving of having a peaceful life and just wanting to do her own thing. So I'm definitely rooting for Ada. But yeah, I love seeing her embrace this role though, and she's just like I don't want to be just the caretaker of Arthur anymore. You know, like I
Get
can
her
only
out,
do so
man.
much.
Get her out of the game. She needs to be safe.
Although
Yeah, save her.
I was cracking up at Arthur, like just getting fake shot by the sun, like just stumbling down the stairs, like, "Oh, you got me!" And he was having some fun.
That was
Oh, well,
last
that
episode.
was
Last
episode
but
1. Yeah.
Still,
Yeah, I'm just glad that she said that, like she mentioned Polly and just like trying to be Polly because I had said that last episode that she was
Yeah.
acting very Polly-esque, so it made me feel good.
So the scene that we have with Tommy when Ada's listening in and he's talking to the IRA, you know, and this is where Kyle, you said you're not 100% sure on what the plan really is with them being involved, right?
I just don't understand what's their ideology, what is their like role, like how do they feel about everyone else? They feel almost very opportunistic too, from like a bit similar to Tommy, like they're just trying to use people for their own means, but
Yeah.
they just seem like the ultimate wild card that kind of has ties
my
to everyone, but
understanding was
I
they
think we'll
were
figure it out.
I think they wanted to back Mosely and the fascism to cause chaos in England so that Ireland can secede.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And I
then
think
that
that's the
totally
whole.
aligns with
They
it,
just want
yeah.
chaos. Like that's pretty much
So
what they want.
now the deal is that they want to be a part of the opium trade with Jack. And Tommy impressed the shit out of them by having 3 letters that he intercepted or he took or whatever secured from Jack with the president. That was the big one. And then the 2 others about fascism and the Jewish people, him talking negatively about them. You know, she was super impressed when she heard him or saw these letters. And she's literally, this is where we were surprised because she was actually just like, oh my God, I wasn't expecting this meeting to go this way. I'm in. And right now the deal is that he's going to introduce them, right?
Yep.
Okay, so they're going to have their introduction, and he's hoping that is going to be a way to get them back into the opium trade with Jack.
That's my
Okay.
understanding. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my understanding as well.
Are we good? Moving
Yeah.
on to the fucking homie. We all knew there was zero chance that he was dead after they said the word Solomon last episode.
Yeah.
We have to get our boy Tom Hardy, Alfie Solomons, on the screen. And Tommy goes right after like down talking the whole idea of even working with the Jews, saying like, oh, like, you know, that's the enemy in Boston, blah, blah, blah. He goes right and flips to the other side. And now he goes to meet with Alfie, who's now turned into, over these last 4 years, basically a recluse who just loves opera and music and doesn't go out. And you can infer a lot from this conversation that basically he doesn't have a grip on his turf anymore. And Tommy
Right.
wants to take this opportunity to play both sides in case Uncle Jack decides to fuck him over. He can use the actual threat that he gave to Michael and Gina Gray about selling to the Jews in Boston and starting a turf war in America. So that's this final confrontation, and it seems like we're seeing the plan B, or maybe this is plan A. I don't really know.
I mean, he's essentially sandbagging Alfie as his main plan, I would say, because I think his main plan would be Jack.
Yes, me too.
And he's basically telling Alfie that he's not going with Jack, he's going with Alfie. And I know that him and Alfie, you know, they're homies and they just backstab each other left and right, and they're still friends. And they're like, yeah, I get it, bro. I get it. I'll shoot you in the face and we'll be hugging the next day. But it is like, it was pretty obvious that when he talks to Jack, when Tommy talks to Jack later, it's just straight up bullshit that he's talking to Alfie. Or, I mean, you could say bullshit that he's talking to Jack. We don't really know yet. But one or the other.
I just think it's a contingency plan.
But at the same time, you still promised Alfie the opium.
Yeah. So now,
And if you don't give it to him, you just screwed him over.
Mm-hmm.
But then you can also make the case that like Alfie's at the point he's such a recluse that okay, he gets fucked over back to just being dead, I guess, and just doing nothing.
Right. I mean, he wants his final act, and essentially the final act would be revenge on Jack, kind of, because we know it's Jack's territory that's taking out Alfie's uncle.
So
and you know, what were you gonna say?
No, now I'm just kind of piecing it together. That makes sense then. So even if he's like, okay, I'm going to sell to Jack, that still gives Alfie enough reason to be like, okay, I got fucked over here, but now I can use Tommy Shelby as an in to get revenge on the uncle and like my family who's just been getting killed by Jack's goons in Boston, you know? I mean, like maybe I'm just overthinking that, but I guess that's.
Well, I think if Tommy fucks him over, Alfie's not going to do that.
I
don't know.
It's just so funny, man. Like literally Alfie, as long as it's not something like they have like their handshake. Yeah, I'll give you the opium. And really you're just going to give me your housing, or I'm going to build housing over your warehouses. So it's not, I was dying at the line where he's like, we're friends. He's like, you gonna give me credit? And he's like, no, I'm not going to give you credit. Dude.
He's like, ah.
But yeah, he's like, shit. I mean, he's gonna be funny as shit forever. But I guess it's not like something where I'm backstabbing you to die. Like it's not like you know. I mean, Alfie's done that to Tommy. Yeah, you know, Alfie almost killed Arthur. Like there's a million things Alfie's done. Tommy's done stuff to Arthur. But I guess if you just back out of a deal and sandbag him on a deal, he could still be like, all right, I get it. I mean, how many times have they said to each other, I get it? And then, like you said, Dave, maybe it would just be that Tommy eventually is going to try to overthrow Jack, which is ridiculous. The limitations, no limitations. And, you know, Alfie can be a part of it and get his revenge that way.
I didn't have any more other comments for the scene. As much as I love Alfie, it didn't feel like there was that much revealed here.
I don't know.
I thought it was badass, the whole conversation. I mean, literally, they tell Tommy as he's walking in, no cigs. As soon as he walks, sits down, he's smoking a cig. And Alfie's saying, put it out. I can't see clearly with the smoke. And Tommy's pretty much like, bro, your uncle's dead. Your turf's falling apart. You can't even stop me from smoking a cig. I'm not scared of you from doing it. Scared of you to do anything to me when you used to be able to look at somebody and they would be scared they're going to die.
Yeah.
You know, he's trying to bring him back to life.
I want it.
I legitimately think that when I think back on like all of Peaky Blinders, like the interactions that Tommy and Alfie like have together when they're in this like friendship mode, like when they're just like meeting as businessmen and like kind of friends, I think this honestly might be some of the best like interactions I've loved
professional
this
acting
ever. From these two. I just like I love these two. Give me more of these guys in a closed room talking.
Yeah.
You know,
Even when
thinking
they're
out
not
plans.
friends, dude. Every conversation they have when they first meet and Alfie's trying to big dog them, that's phenomenal too. I mean, it's just great. Their
I guess
their
it's-
interactions.
I mean, Tommy's very direct and short, and Alfie's a fucking peacock. So it's
Yeah,
just
man.
funny to see.
gotta
those
let 'em
two
fly, dude.
styles just clash up against each other.
I guess it's just the effect of having Cillian Murphy and Tom Hardy be in the same room. You know.
Yep.
All right, let's move on to a quick scene here. This is pretty isolated. We have our protagonist, Gina Gray, visiting Mikey Stash in prison.
Protagonist.
And it's just, I loved this conversation, man. I was all in. I set my alarm
Dude,
right away. I was
You are blinded by this chick. It was the worst scene in the episode. It makes
Yo,
no. I
fuck
don't
off, bro.
understand her at all. I literally. She might be. I think I don't like her more than I don't like Michael.
So did you set your alarm for midnight for tonight, Luke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
good.
like what?
Don't worry about me. I'm good.
There has to be some interesting direction they're going with her because for right now I don't get it.
She's
Listen,
so smart. That's pretty proven.
Yeah.
And she's like a business competent and she has good connections. She's confident as fuck. Like, I don't know.
I agree
is
with all
funny-
what you're saying, but I'm on Kyle's team where I think I might hate her the
No.
most on the show so far. Like,
Yeah,
it's
It
tough.
is
I think
funny how
she's spoiled and
Kathleen-
naive.
Yeah, Kathleen loves Anya Taylor-Joy, and she had to binge Peaky Blinders. And when she binged it, she knew Anya Taylor-Joy was coming. And when we got all the way through, she finished season 5 and was like, "Damn, I was expecting more from her since she's such a big name."
Mhm.
Yeah,
And I'm
She's
still
been more in
expecting
this
more.
season.
I mean, she's more, but I still don't. I'm not getting what I would expect to get from Anya Taylor-Joy. Not acting wise, nothing like that. Just like, I don't know.
it almost feels like she's fucking with Michael. A part of
That's
me
what I-
thinks that it's
I-
gonna
dude,
be
she
that,
literally
like,
opens the door, closes it on
Yeah.
him, takes the key out and throws it on the table and drags it across the table and is like, "Yo, I'm about to go to London." He thinks he's walking towards an open door to his girl. I mean, she's definitely messing with him.
She's
Yeah, I-
totally playing him like a fiddle, man. She's definitely.
And I prefer. I would hope that that is what is actually happening because if
So-
it's not and she's just weird and is still in love with Michael, then I hate her.
Well, let's play this out. What angle can she be using to play Michael? And like, how could that even mean anything to her? Because if she betrays Michael, that's good for Tommy.
I
Yeah, I
honestly
mean, it was
think
bad.
that
Been bad for the company though in general. Just like general discord between Tommy and Michael is just bad. Like having that wedge between them just is something else that Tommy needs to worry about.
Well, I think there already is the wedge. I'm saying if Anya fucks over Mike, then
Mikey
like
Stash.
Mikey Stash, then that puts Michael against Jack Nelson. Like
Uncle-
I don't see how he
Willie
doesn't
Nelson.
fall back to the blinders if Gina Gray actually fucks him over. I
Yeah,
just think
but
she's
Tommy
weird
wouldn't
and it's
accept
just
him.
eccentric, and I don't really care because, like you're saying, I'm blinded and I'm happily ignorant.
Yeah. Honestly, what I think is that I think she is going back to what we said in episode 1, thinking it's a game when it's not a game. And I do think she's playing with Michael because she wants to prove that she's actually the alpha. Like she's the apex predator of this relationship. She's not going to be told what to do by Michael. It was pretty much symbolism that he walks towards the door. She closes on and pulls away the key. I mean, she's just trying to show that she's the boss.
Yeah, I think that's the thing too. Like, if anything ever happens to Jack, it sounds like she would probably be, at least in my mind, next in line since she's the favorite
No
niece
way.
and capable.
There's
I mean,
got to
to
be other
me,
people, but
That's crazy. There's
I don't know.
there is
She's like-
100% a difference. That would be like Tony giving the fucking whole squad to
the
Meadow
Meadow. Yeah.
because like that's his favorite
Yeah.
child. That doesn't know. I refuse to
I
believe
don't
that.
know. But I will say,
Although,
she did
honestly-
play up that sexiness very well because
I think that would
things
be
were
interesting. If Jack dies and she actually becomes like the head of the family and is like running the deals, I would be okay with that. I just don't think that's what's happening. For me though, it's like now that we know that she's been this well connected, even in season 5 when we didn't actually know this, and she obviously knew who Michael was and like the connections that he had. I just feel like there's I think that there's something more there than just she fell in love with Michael.
So yeah, meeting him in America back in season 5 or whatever it was in between 4 and 5 is part of a plan, maybe, is what you're
Yeah,
saying.
I think there's a
Yeah.
certain level of calculation beyond just Michael's rich and has a ton of coke for her to do.
Yeah. I mean, she
Guess
could,
we'll fucking
could buy
find
her own
out.
Coke, probably.
Yeah, now that we know, yeah.
So we good there?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm done talking shit.
Dude, we need to see a scene where she plays chess against Michael or something.
Dude,
Just-
I'll lose my shit. We're making
They
a
need
separate.
how
podcast
hilarious would it
episode
be
of-
though if they did that as like an Easter egg? I mean, it's not out of the realm of possibility. Carl plays chess with Younger last season.
True.
All right. So before we get introduced to Anya's Uncle Jack Nelson, let's do everything before that because we're back in the House of Commons. Is it
Mhm.
House of the Commons or House of Commons? I don't
They
know.
have so many names for it.
I want to
Yeah.
say just House of Commons.
House of Commons. Okay. So shit's chaotic here, right? It's
Mhm.
all decked out in fascism gear, and Mosely is like the big dog here, right? Like he is now way further along in his agenda than we were at 4 years ago, and you could just tell like there's signs everywhere, and like even out in the front doors, and like everyone outside is protesting against the fascism. And now we have Tommy rolling up. I think that what is this whole thing? Do we even know what this is? Is it just like
It
a
just looked like a talk,
political gathering?
rally, like a
Mhm,
rally,
yeah.
of some sort.
Yeah,
a
and then-
gala, maybe a gala.
so here we get introduced to Mosley's new mistress, who's going to be his number one girl. Deanna Mitford is her name, and then we have,
CUNT.
and then let's also talk through the private conversation that happens after Mosley and Deanna meet up with Lizzie and Tommy, and they go into that room. All of this before meeting Jack Nelson. So, anything else you guys want to
Yeah.
bring up? Because this is
Big
Johnny
thing is
Dog's
that-
big scene.
Yeah, giant dogs in a tux, looking like a fucking
Yeah.
fox, and then Arthur comes in drunk as a skunk, and Johnny's got to give up the look because Arthur's drunk. I was so pissed for him.
Dude, I thought Arthur Shelby was like honestly like my favorite Shelby for the first like 4 seasons. So it's hard for me to wrap my
Besides
mind-
Tommy, or just in general,
besides Tommy, like I liked him over
John and Finn.
and Finn,
John
all
Boy, wow.
them. Like I really thought he was
Mhm.
my second favorite Shelby, and it's so hard for me to just wrap my mind around the fact that he's washed up now. Like it sucks to
That's
see.
what he's
it
always
because
been.
I agree. I've never been as high on Arthur as
always
everybody
been like
else.
this.
Love
This
that
is
Yeah.
exactly how he's always been.
I guess, but like I think maybe more I'm thinking of than like season 1, 2 when he's just like the muscle and just a brute and like sure he's like
Yeah, I mean,
doing
he's
all
been
these
the mad
drugs, but it was
dog
under
for a while.
control. Yeah, exactly. Like,
Yeah,
it
I
was
would
a
agree
little more
that-
under control.
the opium is definitely a much harder drug that's fucking him up. Like
Dueling him.
really.
And I would like that Tommy Shelby kind of took some blame here and it was like, you
Yeah.
said no, you did not want to do this, and you probably saw yourself getting into this position.
Mhm.
But I like that he kind of took a little bit of the responsibility for what's happening to Arthur right now because Arthur did say no. So
Yeah.
So are we supposed to assume that for the past 4 years he's just been effed up because of Linda?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Seems
wow.
like it. Yeah.
I
That's
mean,
a long road.
And
I mean,
Polly,
Tommy says
and
to him,
Polly,
right?
and
Like,
Polly. I think it's the combination of both just
Yeah,
happening
yeah.
at the same time, pretty much.
Tommy says to him, "Dude, you're just like skin and bones, bro." Like I feel like it's just been.
He looked so skinny. I was like, "There's no way he was always like this."
No, I
thin.
mean he's definitely been skinny. Like
Mhm.
they've shown him when he does the boxing or he's in the tank top and
He has a
stuff.
little more
And
definition to the muscles, you know. back
yeah,
then.
yeah. I mean he's always been skinny, but they're purposely making him skinnier this season.
Mhm.
But I was dying when he's telling Johnny Dogs he looks like a waiter.
So funny, dude. And then Johnny has to put on the black shirt, and he's like, "Tom, I'm wondering, what if they get a picture of me?" He's like so pissed that they might get a picture of him in the Nazi attire. That's my goat right there.
Yeah, right.
They take a picture of him. That camera's getting the heel to it. That's what he
Yeah,
said,
he's a
right?
beast. And then fucking Arthur Tommy just winds him up with this Linda shit, and then just sends him in the hallway, and Arthur just starts kicking people's ass.
That's the Arthur that I love.
Yeah,
Like, that's the
yeah.
Arthur that I fell
He's like,
in
you
love
stay
with."
right there, Tommy.
Yeah, exactly.
Tommy still comes in. has
Tommy
to
gets
finish
in
it.
too. I started
Yeah.
cracking up when Tommy starts clubbing people.
Yeah.
one thing that caught my ear that I was really surprised about is Arthur's been hanging out with Mosley.
Yeah.
True.
Yes,
Yeah.
that was
True.
actually a good point to bring up.
Yeah. I think that's Mosely just like worming his way into
Sure, any
and, like,
leverage you
just
can
fucking
get.
with Tommy. Yeah.
I'm
yeah.
surprised Tommy allows it just because you know that Arthur could get effed up and say anything. There's
when he's in these
there's a
state of
whole
minds-
plan against Mosley
Mhm.
to kill
Yeah.
him.
Yeah, I mean, he literally just walks out and starts fighting Nazis. He calls them Nazi bastards. So I don't know
Yeah.
how that wouldn't come out in like an opium-induced stupor
Yeah.
of just like fucking around with Mosley.
When that got mentioned, was it Tommy telling Arthur like, "I know you're hanging around Mosley"? Was that kind of how he was delivering it? Because Maybe I'm
Arthur
forgetting.
starts listing parties and places they've been to. So
I
Yeah,
just
I mean,
wasn't sure if it was like also Tommy maybe putting him up to being like, okay, try and get an in with Mosely.
Nah, I don't think Arthur has trust right
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm just trying to devil's advocate for my boy,
now.
old boy.
Anything else before the conversation with Mosely and Deanna?
Nope.
Nah, I think I'm
Deanna.
good.
Yeah, this was interesting. I really liked Lizzie in this scene. That was
Yeah.
fucking awesome when she does the mic drop after Deanna's just trying to big dog her, and she's okay at doing it from an acting point of view. I just don't know how I feel coming up 5 episodes left in the game. I don't know if I'll have enough time to get attached to her,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know. What is your guys' initial impression of Deanna?
I really like her as not even a sidekick. I mean, mostly it says that she's the engine of the Enterprise, I believe is the phrase that he uses. So I like her in that way, but I obviously hate her because of that. You know, it's that classic, like she seems like a necessary character, but I obviously just don't like her.
It definitely
She
boosts.
is like obsessed with the Nazism. She's really into this shit. I feel like almost she was like more connected than Mosely.
Dude, I think this was huge for Mosely. Like she may be like a nobody prior to meeting him, but I think he found the right person to like plot out all of his actions and all that stuff. Like this is just the female version of him to me.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
a good
just
point.
it just brings more power to both of them, and they're definitely dangerous. If anything, we saw that like she knows she's very capable herself. Mosely obviously has a wide influence, and I just think together they're going to be a huge problem for Tommy.
She even references Hitler. She says our friend in Berlin.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they talk about Berlin. I thought there was a chance that Tommy was gonna fuck her because of that weird scene when she's walking down the steps and they put the
There's
lights
still
on
a
both
chance,
of them.
dude.
There
There's
is,
still a
but
chance.
I think Lizzie stopped that chance because Tommy's too team Lizzie to do that now.
He already did.
I don't know, man.
Really?
Didn't he cheat on her?
Well, yeah, but I'm saying
Tommy
Lizzie has a
constantly cheats on
personal
Lizzie. He was
vendetta.
banging the chicken in
I was just
episode 1.
misinterpreting what you were.
I'm saying like Lizzie clearly hates Deanna with all of her. If he did that, I just think that's against what Tommy would do. That's past the line.
I see what
Yeah.
you're saying. Yeah.
I would agree.
All right. Yeah, that's fine with me. I just think that, I mean, ever since season 4, or no, was it season 5? I don't ever like. I understand that Tommy. Like, I love the scene at the end of season 3, maybe, when he says to Lizzie when he's about to get everyone busted. Is that the end of 2 or 3? When
It's 3.
yeah,
3.
and he says like, "Here's the money to Lizzie. She's the only person that kept my heart from breaking." When every night or whatever. Like that's such a good line. And then he comes in hot in season 4 and says they're straight married with a kid. And he's like, well, in my head, I'm still paying for it. And I thought that was like the lowest of lows you could say to someone. And that's like right before she finally goes, all right, I get it. I know who I am. I know what this is. And then she's, I was going to divorce you, but now I'm staying with you because I know what this is.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I don't know. I feel like Tommy goes back and forth.
She's all in now, but that conversation doesn't happen until the end of season 5, though. And then since then, I see no reason why we shouldn't believe she's just full all in. As long as Tommy doesn't do something against her wishes, which is banging someone in their marital bed. I think that
right.
She really wants him out of the game because I feel like she does genuinely care for him. Just wants like a peaceful life.
Oh, well, she definitely cares for him. I mean, she says it a million times. She loves him, and it sucks that she loves him.
All right, let's do this. Let's get introduced to our potential co-big bad and Jack Nelson in this next scene. This is just floodgates open. This is a really good conversation. Anytime a villain is meeting Tommy for the first time, it's always epic and it's always impactful. So what'd you think of this motherfucker with the Boston accent?
To be honest, genuinely a bit underwhelmed.
Okay.
I would say.
I think he met my expectations. I just thought the way he carried himself, presented himself, and still kind of dominated the conversation between the two of them. I feel pretty. It wasn't obviously a Lucas and Greta introduction, but like that was like the
man.
peak. Yeah, that was like the.
That's
peak
what I'm
of getting
saying.
Character introductions,
So I was expecting fully, like, if you want to give it to us in episode 2, the reveal or the introduction to Jack, that's fine, but I wasn't expecting him to just be standing by himself in the church and him to be walked up to by Tommy. I thought it was going to be almost like the Michael scene where it's like, there he is, like guitar.
Yeah,
And then like the guy turns around, the spinny chair turns around, and there's Jack Nelson. Like I'm thinking it's gonna be like this huge like introduction, but he's just standing there, and they kind of meet and have a normal conversation, which you can go either way. Like it is interesting that a guy this big does meet Tommy one-on-one in a church and has a normal conversation and feels comfortable enough. He's just like, yeah, I'll talk to you.
Mm-hmm.
To me, that seemed like very Tommy-esque. And so the way he presented himself felt like how Tommy would present himself to other people. And we already got those parallels in episode 1, how they were like, he's similar. Like when he was talking about Uncle Jack, he's like, we're kind of the same person a little bit. And like, he was talking about the Christian beliefs and both of them having, connections with war and things like that. So I just thought it was a good parallel to both of them, because Tommy doesn't strike me as someone that would do that either. So it's just I thought it was just a very Tommy-esque introduction, and it plays on what they were saying earlier about how they're kind of, that he was saying that they were similar.
Gina was playing it off like when they met, this guy was going to act like he is so above Tommy. And honestly, I think that in that conversation, there's definitely a mutual respect there, and it was not what I was expecting from Uncle Jackie when they were going to meet. Like I was expecting like major arrogance, major like, I'm the man, you're just freaking someone that's under my foot, like a cockroach. You're nothing to me. That's exactly what Gina was saying. Even Michael was saying, like, you have no limitations. You have no limit to your ambitions and all this stuff. You're way in over your head. Mm-hmm. But really, they just had a conversation that seemed like it was mutual respect between the two of them.
And one thing I will say is that I am confused at how, like, why Uncle Jack rejected the offer initially, because nothing really changed from when,
now
episode 1, right? Like, what really changed?
Well, now Tommy's saying that I'll hook you up with the IRA and I'll spy on Churchill for you. Tommy's just straight up like telling everybody, giving just favors left and right, and he's just sandbagging everybody, stabbing everybody in the back. Churchill thinks he's going against fascism, and then now Uncle Jackie thinks he's going against Churchill. It's just Tommy's definitely in over his head with all the promises he's making.
I just like that he knows exactly the right buttons to push. He literally tells him that, a study from the Vatican says that opium is the choice of like Protestants and atheists, and Uncle Jack's talking about how he's a nice little Catholic boy, and how the persecution of Catholics in America is what made him the man he is today, and that's like the absolute perfect angle for him to thwart, or I guess like skirt the idea of like opium's going to be killing a bunch of people in Boston. He's like, I mean, it's going to be Protestants and atheists, so why do you give a fuck? That's
I really negative. Like that. Yeah, that was a good part. And then the only thing that gets Uncle Jack, I wouldn't even say riled up, but like the only thing that gets a reaction out of him is finally him laying down the ultimatum about what he talked about, the Jews again, like with Alfie, right? Mm-hmm. And but wasn't that part of the plan? That's the part that's confusing me, because that ultimatum seems like it's carrying the most weight. I guess the Churchill thing could be new, and then the president's letter could be new information for him that makes Uncle Jack have to recognize Tommy more, and that's probably why it's less of a cockroach feel and more of just, I'm kind of questionable about you. So I mean, the takeaway from this scene is he said he's going to think about the deal and get back to him and let him know. So I guess that's a total win in Tommy's book. I just keep coming back to the idea that I don't want Tommy to fuck over Alfie, and that seems like
I mean, it's where it's going. I honestly feel that way. I think that plan A is Jack.
Yeah. Sad.
That's how it feels to me as well.
And I do think that the Churchill thing is what made Jack think on it. And really the Jewish thing, like you said, is just to rile him up and tell him that there's another option, knowing that like letting him know that there's consequences to saying no to him. And he said, like, you're a brave man. I mean, Gina acted like it was the end of the world when Tommy brought up the Jewish people in Boston. Mm-hmm. So you're pushing buttons on him when you say that.
Well, she doesn't know what she's talking about.
Yeah.
The last thing I will say, I'm sorry, but it's just that Jack brings up the the concept of suicide to Tommy pretty much says the same exact thing that Lizzie says to him earlier about how. I mean, Jack says that all the war heroes he know are just trying to elaborately commit suicide, essentially, if they don't do it outright. And Lizzie is also telling him, like, it feels like you're just creating this huge list to create the craziest way to just kill yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And that was obviously a huge theme of season 5 of Tommy was on the edge of suicide. It runs in his family with his mom and everything. So I'm interested. Obviously, it's a tough theme to talk about, but I'm just interested to see the different ways that they weave that in throughout the series.
Yeah, we obviously know Arthur tried a few times too.
As well, yeah, true.
So let's take this opportunity before we get to the last parallel scene and put a couple things on the board because I'm curious about, now that we're 2 episodes in, this should be enough for us to make final guesses. 2 questions here. I want everybody's guess on, will Uncle Jack live this season? Basically meaning, is he going to be in the movie?
Mm-hmm.
And then the second one is, will Tommy fully betray Alfie? And what I mean by that is that it's not going to look like he betrayed him in episode 5, but in the end of episode 6, he was actually working with him the whole time. I'm saying at the end of episode 6, will Tommy have betrayed Alfie to the full extent?
And when you mean betray, you mean go with the deal with Jack.
Yeah, that in
not
this
like
context,
give
that's what-
Alfie up to Jack to die or anything. It's just the deal was Jack and Tommy and Alfie, and he's going to choose Tommy or Tommy and Jack. That's what you're saying?
Yes,
Like
this is-
that's
yeah.
the betrayal.
The
Okay.
questions are, I think, are slightly interrelated. I feel like I don't know the exact term they use in surveys, but it's like weeding people out that are just taking them willy-nilly. Like one answer kind of begets the next answer. So I feel like Jack's going to die because Tommy is actually working with Alfie and won't fully betray Alfie.
So that's
Mhm.
your prediction?
That would be
Yeah.
mine as well. That's what I was going to say too. Is that I think Alfie,
Jack just is not a movie villain. He's not a movie villain.
Okay.
Okay.
Mosely
Michael?
seems
Is
like a
Anya
movie
Taylor-Joy?
villain. Mosley to me seems like a movie villain.
I think Mosely and like the whole idea, and I guess Jack's involved with fascism, but I feel like Mosely feels more like that guy.
And all right, I guess I piggybacked off of Luke's questions. Like, do we think the IRA is going to last until the movie?
Well, hold on. Let's fucking
Yeah.
get this down. Jim, what do you think?
I think that Tommy and Alfie are homies. I do think that, but my opinion is that he fully is expecting to have plan A to be to work with Jack.
Okay.
And plan B with Alfie is to rile up Jack to get plan A. But I do feel like in the end, he's going to work with Alfie. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Like it's a betrayal that becomes like Tommy always does this. He always turns things into like, the grass is greener. He figures out a way to make it work for him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I really think that, I mean, to Tommy, I don't think it matters who is selling the opium in Boston.
Right.
If it's going to be the East Side Jews or the South Side Irishmen, it doesn't really matter to him. I feel like his focus on Jack is a lot to do with the political side of it.
Yeah.
Now,
and if
here's-
Jack dies, then that's kind of political goal is achieved, and then he can still work with Alfie to get the monetary business side achieved.
Okay, so that was my question. So if he works with Jack, is he just straight up selling the opium for $5 million and getting out? Or is he giving it to Jack, distribute, and then he gets money from it? Because the Alfie side of things is you get the opium for your warehouses, which is obviously not an end game plan for Tommy when he knows his end game needs to be, give me that $5 million and I'm out with Lizzie and the kids. Is that, I
mean, I would say it's like a
distribution kind of thing.
Yeah, because Tommy has his warehouses in Liverpool. They have to store it in Mikola Island or whatever because
Mhm.
it's outside of Canadian and American jurisdiction. And I feel like it's kind of a whole, but he needs someone in Boston to actually sell the shit.
Right. Okay.
And it needs someone that's not gonna like. If he went to someone else besides Jack, like maybe even besides Alfie, like that would just be a bet. Like Jack would just have to come in and clear house of the business.
I could literally see in my head right now like a scene between Tommy and Alfie where at the end they ended up being together and like they shake hands and Alfie's like, I wasn't your plan A, like, and they're laughing like because he knows that like you tried to screw me over, but we've done it to each
Yeah.
other for freaking 6 seasons and we have the mutual respect and Alfie knows the game and how it's played.
So I'll piggyback off that and put my guess on the board. I also think Jack's dying But I think Tommy is going to fully betray Alfie, and I don't think that Alfie's going to make it out of the season. I think season 6 is going to be finally the one that gets him. I just have a feeling that Alfie's not going to be in the movie, and that the movie is going to be completely about Michael versus Tommy. That's like, so I'm solidifying that opinion from what I kind of thought last episode, but now it seems like it could be gearing more and more up to that. And that also kind of plays into the idea that maybe Uncle Jack does die, and I'm thinking Gina could step up. But I also, in the same vein, don't think Gina's betraying Michael. I think they're still just weird together.
So that's two separate questions, though, because Tommy screwing over Alfie doesn't equal Alfie dying. Definitely. Like, I agree that Alfie probably will die, but I still think that he won't screw him over. You know what I mean? Like, he could still die.
Sure.
And Jack, like, his actor, I don't know if he's a movie star, kind of like what you said. Like, can he hold up as a villain of a movie? But do you think Michael can?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think in terms of the context of the show, most definitely. Like, it's
if you're going with the context of the show,
and marketing of Tommy versus Michael, the
Yeah.
build up to like this is the movie blow up finale.
I agree. I agree. But if it's not Michael, then I feel like it has to be like Hitler and fascism, and or Mosely
is the stand-in for Hitler for sure.
Yeah. Or I mean, how do you know we're not going to meet Hitler? I mean, obviously,
crazy.
Yeah,
that would be wild.
That would be a great twist. I would love that.
Oh, I mean, it could be an Inglorious Bastard situation, and they could change history.
Yeah.
And have Tommy Shelby literally take his machine gun out and just light up Hitler.
I don't know. I don't know if they would actually like make him be a character. I feel like he's always going to be like our friend in Berlin.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. That's fun to think about, though. That is totally fun to think about.
I could see this season finale being Hitler shows up from behind the curtains and some shit. And
the swivel desk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that was my swivel desk for Jack. I mean, might as well give it to Hitler now. But yeah,
quite the step up for that.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
But Jack, though, seriously, if you think about it, like you were saying, it was you, Kyle, that was saying in episode 1 that it's a parallel to Kennedy's dad, right? Or who said that?
That was me.
Luke said that. Yeah. So he is powerful enough to hold a movie. I just don't know if marketing Tommy versus Jack is good enough. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, he's definitely strong enough. Yeah.
We'd have to see.
The next 4 episodes are going to do a lot of heavy lifting for it to be like for you to really feel the weight of Jack versus Tommy for a movie finale of this show.
I would have felt more comfortable if they planted more seeds in season 5, like at Anya's initial intro. But who knows?
So on the board, do we want to do it? Michael alive or dead, or do you want to wait a little bit?
Let's wait a little bit. I mean,
okay.
I can wait on it, but my answer probably won't change.
And what is it?
He's gonna be alive.
Yeah, he's
okay. You think it's the movie, huh?
I think Alfie lives too. I'll put that on the board right now.
Man, all right. I don't know.
We probably should have saved that. That was the good fucking conclusion stuff.
Yeah.
We can kind of flip it.
Just quickly wrap it up, and that Ruby's sick again. She's acting whack. She's hearing voices in the chimney. It's the gray man. The doc doesn't know what's going on. Tommy has another seizure. He runs home. Who does he call? Esme.
Beautiful. That was a beautiful summary.
Yeah, John Boy's old wife. So she might
I can't believe we didn't bring that up, because that was totally. I thought it in my head when we said Esmeralda last episode. When
wait, that's Esme.
Yeah.
Esmeralda. So Esme's married to Johnny Dogs now.
No, I think he says Johnny's wife Esmeralda, and this time he says Esme.
Yeah, so they're not the same person.
Shelby Lee. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, unless my boy Johnny Dog slid in there to comfort her in her time of grief.
She went out. I mean, for all we know, those kids with Ada and Lizzie could have been some of John's. You know, John had like 10 kids.
He had so many. So yeah, potentially.
One thing I want to bring up though is, are they gonna talking back about our conversation in the beginning of this podcast about the whole gypsy idea and like, is the gypsy magic real? Blah blah blah. I'm starting to think that maybe Tommy's going to potentially look at Ruby and see all this gibberish, not gibberish, the Romani language that she's talking and these visions that she's having. Is she the reincarnation of Polly's gift of seeing? And that would be fun, because then he's gonna like treat it like he might build plans around what she says. If she says,
don't give me Brita and her daughter kind of stuff, dude.
That's what I'm thinking.
Literally that, yeah. I was so into it until you fucking made that analogy, and now I hate it.
Yeah. I literally just took the win out of the whole podcast
Yeah,
right here.
fuck that shit.
Because Tommy dropped everything he was doing and the business he was conducting in America, or the north.
He was in America. He was in
continent,
Boston.
Yeah, he was in
left it
Boston.
just because of random ass gibberish that she was saying. So
Oh no, I mean
This is fair.
they say the green eyes and black horse. He said, don't let her near boats,
Mhm.
don't let her near the water, don't let her near a horse. Like he's thinking she's seeing things, like
so yeah.
seeing into the future, her death. And that's why he's like lock her in a room, don't let her die.
I think she's definitely dead. I think like this is
From the sickness though, right?
whatever this yeah, it's gonna be like this, like someone's not gonna take her out. I just think the
So-
sickness is gonna overcome her.
Someone's gonna take her ass
fucking
out.
Ruby.
So let me ask you guys this question. So he goes, she's fine. He walks in. This is earlier in the episode. Comes up, drives up. She's fine. Running up to his arms, daddy. He's hugging her. Lizzie says she's good to go. You shouldn't have come home. But he says, get in the car. We're going to the doctor. Now, that's obviously because of what she was saying and him, like you said, Luke, having that, whatever she said in Romney and all the things. He believes it. So he's getting her checked out. So I thought when he came out of the doctor's office and threw up, that meant that they were giving a diagnosis that she was sick. But is it just that he was like scared that he had to bring his daughter to the doctor or something? Or
I think
or
it's
is
that
just all the
he
shit he's
is-
been dealing with? Or
He is physically ill.
I think it's
He
that
doesn't
too.
sleep. Yeah, he doesn't
Yeah,
sleep.
okay.
He's stressed all the time. I think he's just physically ill.
yeah.
Esme and Esmeralda are the same person, by the way.
They are.
Yeah.
Okay, wow.
Did you look
Yeah.
it up,
I looked it up. They're the same person.
you little bastard?
So
It's
this is
not-
going to
it's
be
not
like
it's a reveal anymore.
Yeah, but I mean,
we
we
host
know
a
you look
podcast
at IMDb.
we have a podcast. We should have known this, but I'm seeing-
No, I don't think
no,
it's
but
supposed
like
to be.
that
No.
would be a reveal that her and
Yeah.
Johnny Dogs are married.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, I'm
That's-
not
if
saying
look
you
at her
spoiled anything.
Wikipedia, yeah, it's
I'm not saying
there.
it that I was giving you shit just because we know IMDb could sandbag us sometimes, like Kathleen and Bly Manor and all that kind of stuff. I didn't mean it like you're giving us a bad reveal or anything, but
We're
I
gonna
mean,
find
it-
out next episode. for
yeah,
sure.
we'll find out in
find
probably in 20 minutes when we watch the next episode.
Fair enough. Fair
But
enough.
yeah,
That was a quick one because I mean,
yeah,
the whole beginning, it kind of rushes through the politics, and we spent some good time
Yeah.
on there. But Alfie scene was pretty quick. I think we handled it all pretty well. Nelson scene introduction was very important, and then Gina and Michael kind of got sidelined for this episode. But I'm sure that Gina's going to arrive in where is she going to London? They're all going to London.
yeah,
Yeah.
they're all going along.
So I think that's
know
going to
what?
happen next.
Are we gonna
episode.
meet Roosevelt's son like as a character?
on the
Yes.
table?
I'm gonna say yes.
Let me
We're
just. I
definitely
want to
getting
know.
boat scenes.
Do you guys have any care or thoughts about this Finn thing? Like we saw Isaiah, we saw almost everybody so far. I mean, if you see Isaiah but you don't see Finn, like I don't understand. And I'm not saying like it needs to be some big reveal that Finn's this or Finn's that, but I'm just saying like what is the reason? I
Well,
don't.
Finn
really get
was
it.
in the funeral scene.
Yeah, but that's 4 years ago. I'm saying since the 4-year
Oh.
jump, we haven't seen Finn, but we saw Isaiah since the
Do they even
4-year
s-
jump.
Do they even say his name? Have they even said?
No,
Finn's
they haven't said
name?
anything about Finn or.
I really don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying it has to be some big reveal is that there's a reason why he's missing, but I'm just wondering why he wouldn't get brought up.
It
I
is
think
interesting.
it'll come up and we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think so
Okay.
too. But it is interesting because of the quick rise to power we've seen him come to in the past 2 seasons. It is very interesting that they would choose not to show him and how he's grown in the past 4 years.
He could be
Yeah.
totally
Right off the
out
bat.
of the game. Trying
Yeah,
to
I mean,
live a
like if
clean
he's a
life.
POS, have him snorting coke with the football guy, a quick scene, or if he's out of the game, I guess that could be a reveal or something. But
Yeah.
I'm just surprised that we haven't even heard a word. Ada says like my one brother's talking about fascism and presidents, and my other brother is a POS in the streets, all junked up. She didn't say anything about Finn. Like it's just
Maybe
I don't know. It's just weird to
maybe
me.
Finn's the one that's giving Tommy like all this information. Like he's the one intercepting the letters. Like it's possible. Like
So you think
I
Finn's in the U.S.?
yeah,
I'm guessing that
Yeah.
I will get a tattoo of your face on my ass cheek.
That's another
if
thing.
it
What
is
if-
Finn
what if
getting
he's-
the letters from
the
FDR.
What if he's
president?
what if he's Maria and written in red? You know, all that's like.
What
All
if
right,
he's
yeah, then-
Esmeralda? What if Finn is Esmeralda? dude?
Then I'm getting a tat on my ass. That's it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the answer.
No, I think Finn is gonna pull a Buu Saga Gohan where he just taps out, had the potential, and that's gone, and now he's just gonna be a jag that's studying at university.
Okay.
You know?
That's a
And then,
good.
like,
That's a
when
good
they make,
analogy,
like,
man. That
they
still
make
hurts my heart.
4 Peaky Blinder movies down the way, then he'll finally maybe get a chance to shine. Because apparently the new
Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z movie is all about Gohan.
All
Or
about
is-
Gohan.
Yeah, I'm not
yeah.
here for it.
All right, guys. Episode 2 is done. We're dropping these back to back to back as quick as we can with these screeners. We want to get these out. We know you guys are binging. So episode 3 will be coming soon. So subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe to any of your favorite podcast apps. Check us out on BingetownTV.com. You can find us on all the podcast apps, YouTube and Bingetown TV. If you want to support the pod, hit us up on patreon.com/BingetownTV. $5 a month, all the exclusive content, guys. We have such a great time going through just bullshitting together, talking TV, talking movies, talking anything. I mean, we've had some ridiculous conversations. Patreon.com/BingetownTV.